Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Makeover Monday, week 27, Watch Me Viz. This week we're looking at some data from the last US election, specifically demographic data, where we're going to look at what would have happened if only that demographic voted. So the original visualization is this set of maps here, and each map is a different demographic. So if I start at the top, we can see what the outcome of the election would have been if only white people had voted, for example. So let me bring this up in a new tab, and if I zoom in on that, we can see. Oh, too far. Sorry. There we go. So we can see if only white people had voted. It's got a nice stacked bar chart across the top for 538 votes. Notice there's an unknown section. So this is what the map would look like if only white people had voted, and then only if only if men had voted, only if women had voted, etc. And there's some really interesting insights in here. For example, when young people voted, it's almost exclusively Democratic. And then as people get older, it becomes more and more Republican, which is really interesting. Income levels, it's relatively similar. The more money people make, the more Republican they become. And then urban versus rural is pretty distinct. Suburban's kind of in the middle, and so on. So you've got Protestants and Catholics. And education is very interesting as well. So the less education people have, the more likely they are to vote for Trump. Yes, there we go. Postgrads almost exclusively Democratic. And so on, single versus married, pretty stark difference there. So yeah, it's really, really interesting set of maps. So let's go ahead and take a look at the data. So the data itself has the demographic, the states, who won the state, the number, the percentage of votes that they got, so 32 versus 66, the number of electoral votes that they got for that particular state, and the number of electoral votes that are available. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just try to reproduce a couple of these maps just to see what it looks like. So for example, if we look at maybe single versus married, so I'm going to just double click on state. And then, so these maps don't include, oh no, they have Alaska and Hawaii down here in the corner. So for now, I'm just going to exclude Alaska and Hawaii. So create set. And I'm going to call this exclude Alaska and Hawaii. Let's just exclude those for now. Okay, and put that on the filters. And we get something like that. I'll go ahead and make it a filled map. And I want to look at who won. So I'm going to put winner onto color. And the demographics I'm going to look at, I think I said I was going to look at what's single versus married. So married and single. And then I'll put that demographic and put the maps maybe side by side, and we get something like that. So you see we got all of these gray areas, which means that those states did not, those were unknown. So we don't know if they would have voted for Trump or Biden. So it looks a bit weird having those holes in the map, but hopefully you get the idea there. Let's see, what else could we do here? So I'm going to go ahead and just set some default colors for Biden and Trump while I'm here. And I'm going to look at maybe a red and a blue. Let me see if I can find some good red and blue colors. So we'll do blue for Biden. And let's do the red. Oops. Let's see, where are we here? We'll do the red for Trump. Oh, that's not a very good red. Let me pick a different red. Maybe I'll do this one. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's a bit too... Sorry, I shouldn't be really faffing around with this so much, but I like to make sure that we have a good set of colors here. I thought that there was another color palette I could use for this. USA, here we go. So when I do that, I'll use that and that. What does that look like? Okay, still too much of a red. Maybe I'll just use Tableau's default red and default blue. Maybe that's just the easiest way to do it. There we go. So we get something like that. And that shows a map that's pretty similar to this one. So if we're going to, I'm not sure if this will work or not, but I want to kind of show those gray ones in the background. So what I'm going to do, like basically I want to kind of show that these are the gray states. So I'm going to duplicate my longitude field, and I get two sets of maps. On this map, I'm not going to put winter on there. Let's see, then we get the demographic is still, okay, so that doesn't work. Okay, we'll have to come up with a different way to kind of fill that in, because I don't particularly like how it looks. We could maybe join to another set of states, perhaps. And would that work? So if we join to, so let's try something here. I'm going to edit my data source, and I'm going to add in maybe a shapefile. And I'll put a link to this shapefile in the notes for the video. And I'm going to just set this up as a join. And I'm going to bring in my hex states. And again, I'm not sure if this is going to work, because I think the problem here is that each demographic does not contain each state. So, okay. Well, that didn't work very well. So let me remove that. Not quite sure what happened there. Let me close that, remove. So I think what I'll do is I need to build out a data set that has every demographic in every state, because that way the holes would get filled in. Oh, and my mouse is dying, of course. All right, I'll worry about that later. So if I were going to do that, I would need to, I'm just going to bring up this data set here. There we go. And I'm going to maybe insert a pivot table. It'll just be easier to do it this. Actually, no, I can just do it. Yeah, I want to get every demographic in every state. So I need to, let's see. So when I just get a list of the demographics, I'm probably doing this the slow way, but that's okay. So I want to just get a list of the demographics, and then I want to take each, let's do it this way. Let's put this on the columns, and come on. Oh, my mouse is dying. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I'm just trying a different mouse now. There we go. Okay, so I want to, I'm going to insert a column here. Oops. Come on. Let's just insert a column. That's fine. And then here I want to have a list of every state. So let me do another pivot table. And let's put every maybe state abbreviation in the rows. Okay. Okay, and then Oh gosh, this is going to take a while now. But I think what I could do and then I'm just going to delete my pivot table. Okay, that's fine. All right, so what I'm going to do, so I've saved that. I think this might work. I'm doing this the hard way, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. So let's edit the data source. And then I want to, let me just refresh it. Oh, it's a CSV. There we go. That was a bad idea. That's okay. Let me try something here. Okay. Where did I save this? Right. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight all of these columns now. I'm going to pivot those. That would be my demographic and my state abbreviation. And then I'm going to hide this column. Right, and now if what I can do here is I can view this data, and then I'm going to export it. Actually, I don't even need to do it that way. Let me do it this way. Oops. And then I'm going to go back here. There we go. Okay, so let me delete that. And I'm going to delete this sheet. Okay, and this is going to be my, I'll just call it all data. I don't know what else to call it. But I need to save it as an Excel file, because if I don't, then because it's a CSV, Tableau will only read that first tab. So I'm going to save it as an Excel workbook. Okay, good, there we go. So now I think what I should be able to do is, let me go ahead and close both of these. Okay, maybe I can just edit this one. No, I'm going to need to close that one as well. So I'm basically starting over. Okay, so let's connect to data. This time I'm going to choose Excel. And I want to go to the Excel file. All right, so I want to bring the all data in first. And then I want to join that. Nope. I want to join that to the actual data. And I'm going to do it state abbreviation, but I want it to be a left join. That way I get everything from that. Okay, so let me call it that. And let's see if this works now. So if I go to a new sheet and I pick my demographic, what did I pick before? I think I picked single and married. Okay, we'll put, we can hide one of these. Let's see, yeah, let's hide that one. Let's do the state. All right, and we need to change the country. Come on. And let's put demographic up here. Right, and I'm still missing the data. Well, that was a waste of time. Let's see, let me edit this again. Edit data source. State abbreviation. Left join. Okay, let me try something here. So let me go back to demographic. I am wasting a lot of time here. Okay, so I'm just going to put state demographic, and I should get every, no, I'm only getting 28 states. What the heck? I would have expected more than that. Not quite sure what's happening here. Okay, let me just remove it for now. Okay, let's go back. Let's remove. Okay, so state. All right, well, we'll just kind of start over then. I'm not quite sure what's happening here. So rename. I would have thought that join would have worked, because what I was trying to do was, if I which one's the Excel file? Let's see if this is it. Yeah. Okay, well now it's stuck. All right, well, let's keep going. So let's see. So what I'm going to do, let's start with the state and the demographics. So we'll just kind of put those this way. I'm going to swap them around. And what I think maybe I'll look at is, so this is the most granular level of data we have. And I'm going to put, maybe if I put Biden electoral votes on there, no, let's do Biden percent. We can see it's between 12 and 80%. So I'm going to set the default number format for this to be a number. But remember, it's already in an integer. So all I'm going to do is just change it, put a percent as a suffix on it. And then I'm going to set the default color to be a red to blue color palette. Where's my red, blue? Red, blue. And that doesn't look very good. There we go. And I want to set the start to 0, the end to 100, and the center to 50. So this is going to tell me, so if it's below 50, it's going to be more Trump. If it's above 50, it's going to be more Biden. And let's go ahead and put borders on there. And we get something like that. So that gives us every state and who would have won each demographic. So we could see, for example, California is almost always blue. Maybe what I'll do is I'll get rid of the start and the end and do it like that. Let's see. There we go. So that makes it stand out a bit better. And I think there's another color palette, color brewer. Is it this one? No, that's the other way around. I thought it was this one. Let's just pick a red. And let's make this one a blue. Okay. Not the best colors, but I can work on that later. Okay, so this just tells us, yeah, I think that's okay. For each demographic, which ones, so the more blue it is, the more Biden won, and the more red it is, the more Trump won by. So that's okay, nothing particularly bad about that. So let's do fit height. I just want to see what it looks like. So 45. I'm just verifying the data here. Yeah, so that looks good. Entire view, turn off the labels. So what we could do then is we want to know overall what was the percentage that each of them one by. So I'm just going to start with a simple example. I'm going to try to rebuild the the stacked bar chart. So okay, so let's do the demographic. I'm going to filter it down to just 18 to 29 for now, just for simplicity. And I'm going to put the Biden electoral votes. So that's going to be 437. And then make a stacked bar chart with the Trump electoral votes. Move measure names to color. Okay. And then I'm going to create other. So other. So unknown. And this would be 538 minus Biden. No. Minus Trump. And I'm doing 538 because there's 538 electoral votes in the U.S. election. So we want to do it like that. So Biden should be first. So I need to swap the order of these around, because usually Democrats are considered blue and Republicans red. So let's set Biden to blue, Trump to red, and unknown to gray. Okay, and let's see. And then I'll just set this to go from 0 to 538. And now we have our little percent of total. So if I remove the demographic, I now get something like that. And I could put them side by side, maybe in the same view, and I could have the stacked bar chart next to this. So I'll see that in a second. But what I need to do is I need to reorder my demographics. So I'm going to change the default sort. Okay, so do it by field or manual. I'm just going to make this bigger so it's easy to move things around. So I've got all of my ages here, and I think there is, and then we've got incomes, and then Catholic versus Protestant, and then education. So we could do did not vote, early voting, election day. Okay, so education, so we've got high school or less, and then post-grad is after college grad, some college. I think that's it there. Single versus married, men versus women. Maybe I'll put that at the top. And then maybe single versus married, rural, small town, suburban, urban, and then white doesn't have another one to go with it, so moderate. I think moderate are just the moderates that voted. Okay, did not vote. Okay, so I think that's better. So we get something like that. Okay, so what I would do is, I'm not sure this is what I'm going to end up with, but I'm just going to try it anyway and just see what happens. I'm going to maybe throw in a container here. Okay, and I'm going to put a title in here. All right. All right, let's put a blank here. Okay, and then for the whole dashboard, I'm going to, oh, let's see, no, on my, let's see, what am I trying to do here? So on my vertical container, I'm going to add about 20 pixels of inner padding. There we go. So now what I can do is I'm going to put this sheet here. Oh no, I need to add in a horizontal container and put in the heat map. And then next to that, I want to put the stacked bar chart. Okay, so I'm going to hide the header for that. This is where kind of lining them up becomes a bit of a pain. Entire view. Okay, so let's hide the title. hide the title. And I need to get this container in the background. So dashboard, layout, and let's just remove that. Okay. All right, and we've got our state abbreviations. So we can hide the field labels. But you see now things don't line up, so I need to go back into this sheet and just put a blank in here. Okay, so now everything lines up nice and neat. I can then hide the headers, and we have our kind of stacked bars that are next to, so this shows our kind of percentages that are next to each of the states. So maybe I'll make this one slightly wider. So maybe like a 125. And then if I make the whole dashboard wider, we can now see the abbreviations for the states a bit better. But I need to make sure that these don't get sorted accidentally. So I'm going to go to dashboard. So analysis. Where is it here? It's not advanced. Worksheet. Data. Where the heck is it? Story. Analysis. Table layout. Maybe this is it. Oh no, I just need to click on it. Sorry. Nope. Where is that field I'm looking for? Show, oops. Show header. And there's a way I can disable the sort. Where the heck is it? Oh, show sort controls. There we go. So in this sheet, I'm going to go to worksheet and uncheck show sort controls. Now they can't accidentally sort the this sheet can't be sorted, and neither can this one. That way things don't get out of order. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not. I kind of babbled through that. And then let me make this a bit wider. And maybe I'll put a border around these. So what does that look like then? So that gives us kind of the overview, which isn't too bad, I guess. It's a bit hard to see, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. Okay. So what I want to do next is for what could I do? Oh, I saw somebody do this. I'm just going to first start just with a demographic. I don't remember who it is I saw it, but I'm going to put state abbreviation on the rows. I'm going to put, let's see, Biden % in the columns. I think I've got this, I might need to rotate this. And then Trump there as well. Measure names to color. Okay, so we get something like that. And I'm going to put Biden in blue, Trump in red. Okay, let me swap this around. And I'm going to make these circles. And what they did, I don't remember who this was, I saw it on Twitter, but they went ahead and made this like a peas in the pod kind of chart that looked pretty good. So I'm going to make that a line. And I think measure names I would put on path. Make this bigger. And then make it a dual axis. And then I want to synchronize. And I want to move these to the back. Okay, so we get something like that, which looks pretty cool, I think. So let's put a white border on that. And we could even put the winner on the color. And let's choose, so Trump would be red, Biden is blue. And we get something like that. And maybe I'll just reduce the opacity a bit so it's not, there we go. So maybe something like that. So that looks, I think that looks pretty cool. And let's, so now if we show the filter for this, we can, cycle through a bunch of different demographics. So we get something like that for men versus women. Okay. Let me see here. So I see some questions. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Someone okay. Yeah, don't worry. Just you can go ahead and slow the video down. I do it on purpose because I'm just doing this so you can kind of see my train of thought here. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, it looks like Eva's asking all the questions, so that's good. Okay. Excellent. So we have something like that, which I think looks pretty good. That's a neat visualization. And we could maybe put them side by side, but that doesn't look good. If you do them one above the other, I think it makes them a bit easier to compare. And then the axis, let's make it go from 0 to 100. And there we go. So now the ranges are the same. I can hide the header. And I'm going to put a reference line at 0 for both of them, or no, at 50. And this kind of helps you see this. Hopefully that helps the split stand out a bit more. So let's format that. Let's make it set that to 100%. And then I need to get rid of the label. So let's edit that. Label none and tooltip none. Okay, I don't know if that adds anything to it or not. So I would format here, turn my grid lines on and back off, turn my 0 lines off. And what else? I could get rid of my column dividers. I don't need those. Get rid of the header. Maybe put the state onto the tooltip. So now we can see the state, so we can get rid of the state abbreviation in the tooltip. And I think, yes, a demographic. So I think that actually looks pretty good. So let's edit this axis. And my tick marks, I'm going to set them to be every maybe 25. I know the origin's 25 and then 25. Let's do it like that, see what happens. Okay. And then I'm going to edit my axis again. I'm going to have it go from 1 to 99. That way I don't see 0 and 100. There we go. So something like that. So I think that looks good. Let's rotate this. Rotate the label. Let's format. Let's make this a nice big font. And let's make it black. Maybe bold. Something like that. Hide the header. Why does that keep coming back? That's really strange. And then let me edit the axis one more time. Okay, there we go. Oh, but now I've got all this extra space here. That's because on my secondary axis, this has an axis title as well, so I need to get rid of that. Okay, and then we can hide. Actually, maybe I should keep it on both ends. That way you can see on both sides. So let me, come on, tick marks, fixed. It starts at 25 and we go every 25. Okay. So now we can see it on both sides. Yeah, so I think that's good. I'm going to save just to make sure I don't mess anything up. And what I'm going to do is, instead of having like all these individual ones to select, I'm thinking these could probably be grouped together a bit. So I'm going to bring in my demographics, and I'm going to group those together. Let's edit the alias, and let's call this one gender. And then we can group these together. And this would be edit alias, would be age. And then that one, and group. And let's call that one, what do we call this one? Let's see, income. That's the word I was looking for. And then Catholic versus Protestant. So that would be religion, college grad, high school or less, post grad, some college. I think that's it there. So let's group. Let's call this one education. Election day. Is it just those three? I believe so. So let's edit. We need to group them and edit the alias. Voting time, something like that. And then married or single. And let's call this one marital status. And then Roarin. Okay, let's group those, and we want to call that, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh gosh, what the heck's the word I'm looking for? Laurel versus small town. What are those called? Cities, towns, rural areas. What the heck is the word I'm looking for? Ugh. I am at a loss for words here. So this is, maybe I just do living. I don't know. I don't know what else to call it. And then moderate. We'll just call this one moderate. And then white. Okay. Oh, weird. It's not letting me edit the alias. That looks like another bug. Okay, let's group that to itself. And then what was the other one? Was that? I'm missing moderate here somewhere. What the heck? What is going on here? You see how Tableau is not letting me change these? That's definitely a bug. Okay. So yeah, that should be letting me rename that, but it's not. Okay, found a bug. Okay, so, but what I'm thinking here is, instead of using the demographic here, I could use the demographic group. And let's say we pick age, and then it'll pick the demographic there. So let me show the filter. They could maybe pick education. I wouldn't want to show the all options, so I'm going to go to customize, remove the all, gender, income, living, marital status, moderate. Okay, yeah, so another neat way to kind of look at the demographics there. What other ideas? Okay, so we have different metrics. So we could look at maybe Biden percent versus Trump percent for each state. And we want to look at it for each demographic. Okay, so if we flip that, it's still going to look the same. Okay. And we can see, so state demographic. So let's look at the okay, so Trump percent, default properties, number format. Again, I'm just putting a suffix on the Trump so it looks like a percentage. Right, so we get something like that. If I put, let's put a constant line on the Trump at 50. And let's put another constant line on Biden at 50. Then we can see, so let's okay, leave it like that for now. So I want to say, and where can I have the winner color? But this one, yeah, so they both got less than 50%, but that's okay. It still shows who the winner is. I think that looks kind of neat as well. Circle. Right. Okay, so this gives me an idea here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, and I'll put a link to what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try to create maybe a series of small multiples for these scatter plots. So let me create a new calculated field. I'm going to create a trellis chart. So let me copy this and then get rid of that. And let's call this one columns. And both the columns and the rows we want to make discrete. Okay, so let's put column in the columns, row in the rows. And we want to look at this, so edit table calc. So state demographic, that's fine. This could be an attribute. Okay, demographic can be an attribute as well, right? No. Right, okay, so let me edit the table calc. And I want to have it for each demographic. And then edit table calc at the level demographic. Okay, so education, we've got 4 different demographics. So, okay, I'm going to edit these axes to go from 0 to 100. Okay, so what we have now is, so this here on the upper left is high school or less, and then we have some college, college grad, and post-grad. So as I add more of these, I can see more. So let me see. Let's look at, we looked at education, so let's look at maybe income level. And that gives us a bunch of scatter plots, which doesn't really tell us much. I was thinking that this might, yeah, it doesn't really tell us anything. Then when we looked at education, you see the lower the education, the more likely people are to vote for Trump. The higher the education, these two down the bottom, the more likely they are to vote for Biden. I find that pretty interesting. When they voted, so this is election day, early voting, did not vote. Gender, I think was, what was the other one that we saw? That was a big difference. It was single versus married, so marital status. Yes, we see a big difference here. Okay. Not sure if that really adds anything. I thought it might, but okay. How do people practice LODs? Not quite sure what that has to do with this video, but you practice them by just practicing them. You find, you know, I've got some videos on my YouTube channel for how to understand LODs. But yeah, that's a very broad question. That's from what, LMK 001. It's a very broad question. It's hard to, it's a really difficult question to answer. Okay, so let's do it this way. So I'm going to get rid of those, and I'm going to move the demographic to the columns. And we can see that a bit better now. So if we switch this to age, we get something like that. Yeah, okay. So this is my scatter plot. Okay, this is my P's. This is my stacked bar chart. And this is my heat map. Okay. Can we do a hierarchy drill down, demographic group and demographic? Yeah, I mean, you can create a hierarchy between these two if you just drag one on top of the other. And then if I bring in demographic group and put in, but the problem is now we can't, you can't add the values together. So for example, let me see here. So there's no way Biden can get that many electoral votes. But if you break it, you would always have to have it at the lower level of granularity in order for the numbers to make sense. So I don't think that would be a very a particularly good idea. But you could, yeah. Maybe you're thinking of something different. Okay, what other chart types could we use? I don't really want to use a map because everybody's going to use maps. What else? I don't know. I think I'm kind of stuck for ideas now. We tried scatter plots because we have two measures. Let me just switch this back to just age so we can see it a bit better. I would format this to get rid of the grid lines. Okay, makes it a bit easier to see. I don't know, I still don't think it's that easy to see. What if I get rid of the, yeah, that doesn't help either. Okay, so I don't think the scatter plots work. So we've got that. A bump chart by state. So a bump chart by state. Okay, so if we do state and we do, let's say, demographic. No, we would need to do one demographic at a time. So let me just try min. And let's say, you know, Biden percent, something like that. Is that right? No, let's do it this way. Let's do that on detail. make these circles. And then I want to put this, let's make this a line. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. So Biden percent. Right. Let's reverse the axis. Yes, this just shows you where Biden ranked. I'm not quite sure which way you want to do the chart. So if we put the state here and we put the demographic on detail, we could see, what if we did Biden electoral votes instead? No, we don't want to do that because there's lots of zeros. Do it. These switch those around. Okay, there we go. Okay, so then if I show this as a highlighter, yeah, the problem now is some of the states are the unknown category, so a bump chart doesn't look like it would work very well in this case because there's quite a few states where there's no data. So yeah, that probably, it's a good idea. I do like that idea, but it doesn't look like it's going to work for us here. So this will be our bump chart. Okay, let me see if there's any other ideas. So okay, bar chart, box and whisker, bubble. Let's see. Another alternative for this peas in a pod, so let me duplicate this, would be, instead of having the circles on here, we could make this a Gantt bar. And then we only want to have, let's see, Biden percent on there. What numbers do we have here? We've got Trump is 45. Let's see who's who here. Okay, so 45, so we need to go, let's keep the Trump percent, and let's call this Gantt size. So we want to do the sum of Biden percent minus the sum of Trump percent. And let's put that on size. There we go. So this would be an alternative instead of, so let me put the Biden percent on tooltip, Trump percent on tooltip, and we can now see both of them at the same time. Gantt size, let's get rid of that. And what I would do here then is probably just make these, kind of normal sized. So this is the same idea as this one, except it's a Gantt. I think that one looks okay as well. Age, education, gender, income. This probably could be called location. Okay. So that looks, I think that looks better. Yeah, so whichever one you like, but yeah, this one shows the range. I think that one looks pretty neat. Seems like you would have a red line and a blue line in the Gantt chart. Yeah, possibly. Okay, so I think I'm going to actually stick with this one here. So my stacked bars, I'm going to reduce my colors to make them a bit, no, let's just change the colors. We need more muted reds and blues. So let's see. Why don't I do it this way? Heat map. So that's the red and the blue. Okay. Let's make this, Trump's going to be this red, and Biden is going to be this blue. And then let's make this one a gray. Gray. Okay, something like, oh, the gray stands out too much now. That's okay. So I'm going to reduce this to maybe 75%. And how's that look? Oops, on my dashboard. So I think that looks a bit better. I'm not going to have them run right up against each other. I don't like that. And I'm going to get rid of the borders. No border. Okay. So I think that's okay. All right, so in my heat map, I now need to, I'm going to put the Trump percent on the tooltip, and then the unknown on the tooltip. So now we can get, oh no, that's the electoral votes. And let's put the state on the tooltip as well. Okay, there we go. So the state abbreviation I will take out of the tooltip. All right, so let's do and then Biden I will make the red, and Trump I will make the blue. And what does that look like now? So Biden 36, yeah, so I think that looks pretty good. All right. So there's that. So now I'm going to format the dashboard. Actually, I'm going to format the workbook because I don't like the way this Tableau font looks with this. So what's one of my other favorite fonts? So Railway. Let's see what that looks. Roboto. I think that looks okay. I'm going to format this and make it. No, I don't want to make it bold. All right. I'm going to now put my demographic group here, but I'm going to hide the header. And then I'm going to put it here as well. I'm going to rotate this header. So now we can see the differences between them all. Dashboard. Okay. And maybe I should do it on this one. So let's show the header. And rotate the label. And what does that look like? Yeah, the problem now is some of these, yeah, it doesn't work because some of them don't show up, like the moderate one doesn't. Moderate doesn't show up. Married, oh, maybe. Yes, that's not going to work. Shoot, I thought that might look good. So I think I need to, let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of the demographic heat map. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you see Wyoming has basically no data. So let's go to this and let's get rid of the formatting. Actually, I want the top to be maybe 10 and the bottom to be 10. And then on this sheet, I want this to be, and then again, that one be 10, the bottom 10 to line them up. And then I'm going to stick in my text box at the bottom. And I'm going to just copy and paste everything from here. Okay. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Let's get rid of that. All right, so I think I'm going to call it quits there. Wouldn't Biden be blue for the tooltips? Oh, do I have the tooltips backwards? Oh yeah, thank you. So tooltip. So Biden should be blue. And Trump should be red. Thank you for pointing that out. And okay. So I think that's it for today. Let me format my states. Maybe make them 8 point. Maybe I can make these 8 point as well. And if I make the whole thing a bit wider, does that help? So that makes it, so it's, okay, yeah, I like that. All right, well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and yeah, I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.